Welcome back to Bakes with Edwin. Today we are going to make a delicious almond cake. I'm really excited for this cake. It is going to be fantabulous. We got a few things going on. First up, we have our oven preheated for 335. You want to make sure that the oven is ready so your cakes can go in right away, because we have some chemical reactions that are going to be taking place by our ingredients here. Another thing I have already prepared is my round tins, and they are prepared with spray and parchment paper. So I highly recommend that you use the parchment paper, just because it'll be easier for you to get the cakes out of the pan. Because how many times have we had that incident where we accidentally didn't spray enough and lost part of our cake. So first up is we're gonna take our flour. This is a mixture of almond flour and all-purpose flour. It's not a even mixture. It's about a 60-40 combination. 60% all-purpose, 40% almond flour. We're gonna take our baking soda, and we're gonna take our salt, and we're gonna mix that together real quick. I already had sifted the flours together, because otherwise we would have a nice little clumpy mess where I have some pockets of almond flour, some pockets of all-purpose flour. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sugar, pour it into my mixing bowl, along with my oil, my eggs, and buttermilk. And then, because remember, flavor travels with fat. This is vanilla extract as well as almond extract. It is an almond cake, but you want to use very little almond extract, otherwise it's going to taste very chemically and you won't enjoy it. We're just going to scrape around the bowl just to make sure that we don't have any pockets of sugar, but I can still see some egg whites hanging off of our paddle there, so we're going to turn it on just for a couple more minutes. Alright, that about does that. So what we're going to do is now we're going to take our flour and we're going to add it little by little. I'm going to start off with about half, and we're going to turn it on to number 1 to mix that together. Doesn't take too long, as you can see, to get that to start mixing, and we're going to add the rest of this in. And now you can see that it is thickening up quite nicely. We just want to let that go for a little bit so we can build up some sort of structure to the cake. So what we're going to do is we're going to scrape around the bowl just to make sure that we have everything nicely incorporated. It's looking great. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean off this paddle of ours and get this scooped into our cake molds. It is that easy, that quick to make cake batter. So we want to try to evenly distribute this. Easier said than done, unless you have a particular weight that you are trying to get these cakes at. It's just easier just to take a scoop and just divide it back and forth. just gonna tuck these nicely on the counter. Now I have some of these handy dandy little cake pan strips. What these will help do is it's gonna help with an even bake, and it will make it so that the cake does not actually dome at the top. It's actually pretty cool. So I'll actually have a nice flat top to my cake instead of a doming cake, which is great because I have some big plans for this cake. Alright, now my cakes are ready for the oven. My oven is set to 335 and we're going to bake these for probably about 10-15 minutes before we check. Here are the cakes. They are looking great. The way you test them is by either touching them and just making sure that they don't feel very soft. You also don't hear them bubbling away. And then you can also take a toothpick, stick it in, and make sure it comes out clean. So we're going to let these cool for about 10 minutes before we transfer them onto a cooling rack. Now it's time for us to unmold the cakes and see how they're looking. And they should come out real nice and easy. There's one. And don't forget to take your parchment paper off. This one doesn't want to come out as easily. There we go. And here's number 2. Parchment paper as well. Alright, so what we're going to be doing now is we are going to let these cool off the rest of the way. We don't want to do any sort of decorating on them for at least 24 hours. It gives the crumb structure a chance to kind of just chill out, dry out a little bit, so then when we go and slice, it's going to be a cleaner cut and it's not going to kind of mush our cake. It's just to really help ensure that the cake is in fact cooled all the way down. And so yeah, what we're going to do is we're just going to let these chill out. Then I'm going to wrap them up in some saran wrap and just pop them away until we're ready to decorate. So we'll see you then. All right, well, here we go. We have our almond cake. So we have the 3 layers of almond sponge with a almond custard in between each layer, topped with fresh buttercream, and then we also added a nice little caramelized almonds to punch up the flavor as well. So gorgeous cake. Should give it a try. Well, there you have it. That is an almond cake with Bakes with Edwin. Thanks for joining me this time, and we'll see you next time.